Okay, what's up, everybody? I'm back to continue with the opening up about the elements in astrology. So right now we're going to do air element. First we did the water element, then I followed up with the earth element, and now we're merging into the air element. So how should I address this? I want to approach this like this, right? Let's begin with Libra. No, let's not begin with Libra. Let's begin with Aquarius. I think it's more interesting to begin with Aquarius, and I'll tell you why. In the previous video, I spoke about fire signs being appointed to be CEOs, or at least the fire element, type element. And pardon me if I speak in manners that when I mention Taurus or if I mention Virgo as people, please understand that what I'm really trying to say is the archetype of those signs. You know what I mean? So you don't take it so personally, because there's many intricacies of astrology that would suggest other things take precedence in your life that would cover even the attributes associated with your sun sign. So I'm not talking about you, all right? So don't get all nutso on me about what I'm saying. Just bear with me, all right? So the reason why I want to begin with Aquarius is because, as again, I spoke about the fire type archetype being appointed as CEO and the heads of organizations because of the way that they move, the way that they have this tenacity and to, experience life with people to the point where it's very fast paced, it's very adamant, and it's very high-spirited based upon freedom, right? The free will to do whatever it is that you want to do, however you want to do it. And, if you don't gamble, if you don't take a chance at something different or new or something that is proven to even be wrong, then you're not really living life, right? So you may say, well, why would a group of thinkers and geniuses want such an archetype in that type of position? And really, it just comes down to this, that they are influential to the point where they can get people motivated and activated to move and energized and enthused. Just think about a Sagittarius energy. Think about how a Leo just, takes over the room when they come into a room. Think about how Sagittarius just will be spontaneous and go anywhere based upon having to learn something or quest for knowledge. You understand what I'm talking about? Now, the knowledgeable people who are already knowledgeable and believe what they believe, and whether they have the experience to back it up or not, book smart or whatever the case may be, they won't take those types of gambles. And they'll say, okay, well, if this person does fail or whatever the case may be, we're such great thinkers that we can patch this up in some type of way. I'm just giving a type of ideology, putting myself in those types of people's shoes, right? But I say that to say this. The reason why I want to begin with Aquarius is because Aquarius is more of an extractor of all of that, what happens. You see, because Aquarius is the groups and the networks, right? And this comes in the form of fraternities, secret societies included. You know what I mean? Don't just think that because Aquarius is friendships and groups and stuff that we're just talking about like Boy Scouts and stuff like that. And Boy Scouts is even powerful, but don't think that it's like limited to not being powerful. Now, one thing that you should understand is that the sun falls inside of Aquarius. Okay, so with that being said, it's not as powerful to be an individual as much as the Aquarius, let's say for an individual want to be an individual, right? Because as we know, Aquarius wants to be strongly independent. They have a fierce vibe for independence. However, with the sun being a detriment inside of Aquarius, it suggests that they should not be so egocentric. Okay? And I mean this even for the highest Aquarian achievers. Personally, it's not in their best interest to be so egotistical, because their oxymoron is they have to be an individual in some type of way and be a part of some type of group in some type of way. So they are able to extract what Aquarius energy, the archetype, the air element of Aquarius does is it extracts the movements and the shakers and the action being applied inside of groups, networks, organizations, factions, institutions, because they rule over the 11th house as well, and that deals with revenues. But on a group level, like, so when you hear something like GDP, that is the benefit of the 10th house archetype of career, corporation, institution. How much was sold, how much was made. Okay, how much is left over? Boom, that goes to the Aquarius element. You understand what I'm talking about? So when you think tank, you think Aquarius, right? However, they are wise enough, not that word, they are intelligent enough to know that should they take on the mission by themselves and poke out their chest themselves as individuals to the point where they can't see past individuality, they most of the times will fail. All right, they will fall short of the glory of accomplishing what it is that they're out to accomplish, and that is the extraction of the cooperation inside of an organized unit. You understand what I'm talking about? So it's really, Aquarius energy is like really the epitome of the whole zodiac wheel. I mentioned this before. You know, apart from Pisces, I can't really associate Pisces in the 12th house with this. It's another video, you know what I mean? But that's how the Aquarius archetype is ran. So now when you talk about, let's talk about Libra next. Okay? Libra is extravagant. All right? Libra energy is extravagant because Libra's energy is also dependent. Okay? So that means if something is going on that is like, maybe it even might rub the Libra archetype the wrong way, they will try to look at something that can be afforded to them in some type of way that they can benefit from and say, okay, well, listen, let's negotiate. Let's talk about this. You know what I mean? Because I know you need something over here or you want something over here. And even if that immediate Libra archetype doesn't have it, they'll figure out a way to get the other side or whatever archetype it belongs to negotiate with the other side in order to make things happen. And that is how they are useful. That is how they become viable. And that is how they are dependent, right? So their survival depends on being that way. So Libra archetype rules over contracts, okay? So, you know, before I was talking about how, you know, some rules can be broken inside of organizations by a fire type archetype, and the Capricorn energy will let it slide because they'll say, okay, well, the other types of energies are not getting anything done. And the Capricorn will worry too. Capricorn energy is worrisome too. So it's like, okay, these buildings cost that much. This apartment costs that much. How are things looking right now? You mean we may not be able to pay rent this month? Then something's got to give. That's what I'm talking about. Capricorn being a vampires of the zodiac wheel, and they attach onto people through anxiety because it's like, listen, if we don't pay the rent, then I'm going to be exposed as some loser. I'm going to be exposed as I'm not efficient. I don't have work ethic. I'm not recognizable to be applauded inside of industry or the limelight. And they just can't have that. The energy, the Capricorn energy just can't have that. So they'll say, okay, well, the fire element broke a rule or two. They got some results. They achieved some results. We're paying the rent this month. All right. They're the winner. You understand what I'm saying? So now Libra energy comes on the scene, and it's like they make the contracts. So this is where policy comes into play. And this is why I said the air element may have a war on. The earth element is through policy. Because if they see something worked and they see something did not work, and I'm talking about the corporation right now, I'm talking about Capricorn energy, right? Then they will say, okay, well, how do we get this to the people in a way that doesn't cause a riot or, you know, want to start an upheaval? And then the Libra, who is dependent, remember, Libra energy is dependent on everything coming together to be balanced. They'll say, oh, well, just leave it up to me. I'll put something on your desk and so and such and such. And they will, with the help of the Gemini type archetype, because the Gemini is the quicker thinker. It's the quickest thinker, right? And Gemini archetype and energy wants to consolidate ideas. That's their thing. Consolidate ideas, and they can be very two-faced when doing so. They don't even have to like you. It doesn't matter what's your idea. Oh, that's a great idea. I got a great idea. You got a great idea too. I don't really like that person, but just take his idea. You know what I mean? If we can consolidate the ideas, we'll make it work, right? And then Libra or take that consolidation and draw up some paperwork, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's expected that people are going to get fair shake. So you may say, well, I've been in contracts myself with actual Libras, and I ended up getting the shit under the stick, excuse my language, right? And it may be some planetary influences that were occurring at that time and something natally in your chart that actually had that happen. Like you may have something natally that says, read the fine print before you sign contracts, because it's already set up. Your life is already set up that way. And that's why you just didn't have the knowledge. So don't take it too personal, right? Don't take it out on Libras or Libra energy. They're still doing what they should do. However, it's different when policy comes into play and it conflicts with the people, right? So let's say if you compare policy to laws, there's a difference, for example. And, laws are really go along the lines of sovereignty. So if you have a nation like America used to be, oh man, I really don't want to get into this in depth. I'm gonna try to do my best not to get political here. But just for example, rather briefly, if you have something that existed like America, where sovereignty was at the forefront, right? True freedom, a fire archetype, right? And then things are going, and then in the Capricorn energy scope of things, you see things are really not going correctly as planned. And an example of this would be like having tons of real estate buildings. I know you've heard about this, and probably recently as well. Having a lot of real estate buildings all over the place, and they're vacant. Like, how does that happen? That is not normal. That is not healthy, to have all of that work and construction done and built with the expectation that people are going to fill them, and it's not filled. And if job creation is up at a high level and they're still not filled, then there's a true issue going on. And the real matter is greed is involved, so prices are inflated. Like, I'm going to just be flat out with you and let you know that. You know what I'm saying? However, policy is something that comes into play that takes sovereignty. It takes the law away. It doesn't matter what the laws are anymore, because you're just not getting it done. So remember in the other video I said Capricorn energy is just not getting it done efficiently. It can be done correctly, however, it's not being done. And then we have results that are like that, vacant buildings all over the place, yet there are homeless centers everywhere, and sometimes people camping out on the streets. They don't even want to enter the homeless facilities. They're like, nah, just give me my public assistance check and I'll take it to the streets with that. Like, I'm not going to, different video. You know what I'm saying? But it's understandable, and this is what happened when policy conflicts with the people of the land, right? With the earth element, the earth archetype. They're putting rules in place that disrupt well-being, causes all types of stresses and anxieties, also causes coercion. You know what I mean? And this is something that can possibly create an upheaval or an uprising or attempt to overthrow different types of structures. All right. Again, though, the Libra archetype and energy is not really concerned, and I mean this. I mean this the way it is. It's not really concerned with how everyone else is going to feel. It's just going to look at the statistics there. Okay, this group of people does this, this group of people does this, this group of people does this. I'm going to arrange something that where all parties involved should be able to get something that sustains them, right? So if this person gets that much, this person gets that much, and this person gets that much, that's really not the Libra's concern. Is it enough on a level that sustains them? Then it's yes. So that whole hierarchical structure will remain the same, despite a Libra being there supposed to be making things fair and balanced. The results will be, well, everything is fair and balanced, because if these people wanted what the fire archetype or element suggests, then they would move quicker. They would produce quicker. They would break some rules, right? And Capricorn is the ruler of rules. However, again, I said it before, they're letting things slide because things are being done quicker. And then the results from that, once the results are interpreted, they say, okay, some people just don't get it. So the richer get richer and the poor get poorer. Or maybe it's just predetermined to be that way. I'll let you tell that. I'll let you be the judge of it. You know what I mean? However, that's what the Libra does. And they're dependent on that type of negotiation, and they will live extravagant lives based upon it. You'll find Libras heavy in politics. So let's get to the Gemini thing, right? Gemini is not only the consolidator of ideas and the handshakers of people, lots of people, and the quickest thinkers. They also rule things associated with travel. They also rule things associated with publishing and advertising and marketing. So let me be clear about how powerful this element of the air is also, and how it affects the earth element. Oh, definitely the water element too. When we talk about, we just use an example about oil spills. You know what I mean? Marine life, it's important. people just overlook it because they can't see all the marine life, and it's just like, oh, the oil spill, but we need oil so we could drive out. I don't want to get too biased here, but please believe that transportation can affect the water element as well. I don't want to leave water out of this. I want to, bounce around and juggle all of the elements, but more predominantly on the earth, because that's what I spoke about, right? So Gemini element, will take transportation and say, just think about it like this, right? One of the most expensive items in our earth construct is a car, is a vehicle, right? So you may ask yourself, well, why price it so high? Why does it cost so much? And it's because, again, especially in the Western world, it's associated with speed. So the quicker things can get done, the quicker people can do what? Buy more stuff. Because just think about it. If you take a trip somewhere, you make a stop here, you make a stop here, you make a stop here. You're spending some money at all those stops. You got to go to the hotel now. You got to spend the nights in the hotel. You're going to pay the hotel. Then you're going to pay the room service. And then you're going to pay wherever you're going after that, right? And then so on and so forth. It's a continuous thing. So this is really a huge part of driving the economy. You understand what I'm talking about? And the more that the Gemini archetype advertises and publishes these cars, these vehicles, the nightlife, for example, or hotel life and stuff like that, the more that people get influenced and they purchase these things as well. See, it's more about influence, especially in a Western world, despite of how people may feel about it. So a person may say, I want to be like those people. I want to drive the best cars. I want to wear the best clothes and stuff like that. So as soon as they get a little bit of money, they go and do just that, not understanding the mechanics of all of it, the whole giant picture. And what can possibly happen is they lose every time, and they lose and they lose, and they say, okay, the rich keep getting rich, but the poor keep getting poor. You know what I mean? Not looking at the behaviors, not looking at how the policies are set up and arranged. Because if they were knowledgeable, and this goes deeply entrenched with the earth element, if they were knowledgeable, they would understand that, okay, this is how I should move, this is how I should move. And there are ways to, even though you desire something, there are ways to pull back and be patient on it, and sometimes save and do other types of things other than what you always see, to rise up and come on top of the game. And sometimes when you read your natal chart, you just see that, those things are just not as important as you think they are. You know what I mean? So, but I say that to say this. Now just imagine if the whole pinnacle of the organization or structure is heavily built around, clams, seafood, dishes, and, big, huge buildings with gold trimmings and marble floors. And, if this is heavily advertised and published via Gemini archetype, and this is pretty much all you see, then this is all people are going to be gravitating to and wanting to be like, not even knowing their own selves, And this is why astrology is so powerful. Now, of course, people still haven't taken a liking to astrology to the extent that it could be, and as I feel that it should be. But again, that's more along the lines of people benefiting off of people not knowing. That's all that's about. If you were knowledgeable, a lot of the stuff that's advertised to you, you wouldn't really care about. Now, other people are different. Like if you're an extrovert, if you're a fire sign and you're an air sign, you probably are more naturally gravitated towards materialistic things, especially a Gemini archetype. Gemini archetype is very superficial. It's no real big deal for that archetype. You know what I mean? It's like, it is what it is. Hurry up and buy. You know what I'm saying? And get out the store. Like, go have fun. Do it all over again. You know what I mean? Buy plastic cups in fast food restaurants and throw them in the ocean. Like, so what? Like, let's just do it. You know what I mean? That's how they're moving right now. So you can understand exactly from that example that I said, that was really a jab, right? Of how the earth element is affected by the air element. Now, don't get me wrong, you have a lot of earth element that associates themselves and engages with the air element. They're with the policies, and they're like, yeah, I can't wait to get my whatever this and whatever that and do whatever I want to do. All elements included, right? And it's not until like a crisis or something occurs like eighth house-ish, excuse me, occurs to an extremity, or 12 houses occurs to an extremity that people are pressed and like, oh man, I need to sit down for a minute and think this over. I need to go through my things. I need to watch where this is being spent and where that's being spent, because I didn't see this coming. An unexpected expense occurred and I just couldn't see this coming. You know, how could it happen to me? You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just putting you on a game. Like, if you just become knowledgeable of these things, that's why I'm doing a video. You know what I mean? You become knowledgeable of these things. And of course, like, there's a positive side, there's an up note to this, like Aquarian energy, right? You talk about Wi-Fi and radio and stuff like that. Like, think about radio, first of all. I'm gonna make another negative statement first. Like, radio, sometimes you can hear some trash music all over the place, and that also fuels the economy. I got busted down on my wrist. I got this, that, sitting in the parking lot. I got 6, 7 Range Rovers. Bang. You're automatically like, yeah, I'm going to get 6, 7 Range Rovers. Bang, bang, bang. You may not think that you're that easily influenced. However, yeah. But then you got, on the other hand, you got people that are making livings off of being like YouTubers and making livings off of working online, which takes no muscle, takes no bravado. You might have to be brave and have courage to actually turn on the camera and get online in front of the camera. That's true. But it takes no pounding your chest in front of people to, like, show that you're better or bigger than them. It takes no having a certain emblem on your steering wheel to one up the other person or your neighbor or something like that. None of that is involved, right? And a lot of these people, you know, sometimes they could be quiet about it. They don't have to be. You don't have to be none the wiser about it. And you can go on living your life, and they're living the life that they want to live, right? So that's a kind of a way that there's an upside to it, or a more positive spin, should I say, on how the air element can actually benefit the earth element. Maybe, remember I said there can be a balance. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on how you prepare and prepare to embrace what is coming upon us right now. And I say what's coming upon us right now because Uranus is going into Taurus, which is the earth sign. You know what I'm saying? Is it there yet? Is it the 8th yet? I think it's on the 8th. I think that's tomorrow. See, I'm on point in this. I'm on point. I didn't read no books just now, nothing, but on that. So, but I think I recall that it's happening very shortly if it didn't happen already. I'm out. That's enough.